Hello, welcome to the Basic Medical Terminology course. What are you going to learn? Putting it quite simply, you are going to learn how to break down medical words into their component parts. By doing this, you can break words up really easily and work out what they mean. You'll be surprised after 10 modules how much you have learned, and we hope along the way you actually enjoy the learning process. We're sure you will. Let's go to Module 1. Module 1. In Module 1 we are going to look at medical word structure, so how these words are made up of these little bite-sized chunks, prefixes and suffixes. Medical words are made up of a number of smaller component parts. These are called prefixes, root terms, which are sometimes called combining forms, and also suffixes. Prefixes you find at the front of a word and will alter the word's meaning. Root terms tend to be body parts, but not all the time, just to make things a little bit confusing. And at the end, we will find a suffix, which also will alter the word's meaning. And medical words are made up of combinations of these parts. So you can have a really long word with lots of root terms in it and then one suffix at the end. On the next slide, we will look at some examples. Building a medical word. Let's take a nice simple term that you've probably heard of. Gastra means stomach. It's a root term. And we're going to join it with a suffix, itis, which means inflammation of. So if we add these two together, you have the word gastritis. So you have a root and a suffix joined together, and it means inflammation of the stomach. Another term, gastra, we know now, means stomach. A connecting vowel, an O, helps us say the word when you put two root words together. And here's our next root term, enter. Enter means intestines. Now let's add a suffix, itis, which means inflammation. So putting it all together, we have gastroenteritis. If you read it from the back end, it says inflammation of the intestines and the stomach. Knowing that gastroenteritis means inflammation of the intestines and the stomach, you may think, well, if your intestines and your stomach are all inflamed, then you're not going to feel very well in your tummy area. As a result, you may feel sick, or you may have diarrhea. Now, the word diarrhea, we can actually break that down into its component parts to work out exactly what it means. So let's have a look at that. Dia is a prefix meaning through. Rhea is a suffix meaning discharge or flow. So if we put these two parts together, we have the word diarrhea. It just literally means through flow. And if you've ever had diarrhea, that's exactly what happens. Food in one end, whoops, 2 minutes later, out the other, diarrhea. So you can see the purpose of these medical terms. Rather than having to use a whole sentence or possibly more to explain what's going on, you can simply describe a symptom with one word. You now know the theory of building up a word, and many medical words are made up of these component parts. And knowing these little bits that you add at the end or in the middle will aid you to break down words and work out what the meaning is. So let's look at some of these component parts. In this section, we are going to look at the prefixes and suffixes. We're going to start with suffixes. Common suffixes. Suffixes are endings. So we find these at the back end of a word. So let's look at some of the common examples. Our first example is ectomy. Ectomy means removal of. Classic example, tonsillectomy. Let's break this down. Well, tonsil, then there's an extra L, and ectomy at the end means removal of. So you can probably guess what tonsil relates to. It means tonsils, the organs at the back of your throat there. So tonsillectomy would be removal of your tonsils. Otomy means incision. Our word example here is myringotomy. let's break it down. Myring, break, otomy. Otomy means incision, and it's incision into the eardrum. Myring, or myringo, means eardrum. I think my Ringo Starr, he plays the eardrums. Might help you remember. Next, ostomy means opening. A colostomy, let's break it down. Col, break, ostomy. So an ostomy is our opening. It's an opening into the colon. So someone's had a procedure on their colon and they may require a colostomy where they bring the colon to the skin surface and then you can attach a colostomy bag to collect your waste products. Oscopy is a visual examination with a lighted instrument. So you're going inside the body and you can have a good old look around. Common example, colonoscopy. You can probably guess this one. Colon, break, oscopy. Oscopy is our visual examination with the lighted instrument. Colon is your colon, it's part of your bowel. So visual examination of the colon. Plasty means surgical repair. Angioplasty, another common term. Let's break it down. Well, angi, then our connecting vowel O, and plasty. Plasty is surgical repair. O is our connecting vowel. Angi means vessel. So if you read it from the back end, it's surgical repair of a vessel. Gram means tracing or recording. Very common term, mammogram. Let's break it down. Mam-o-gram. So the gram is the tracing, the mam is the breast. It's a tracing or recording of the breast. Graphy means X-ray or picture or recording. So the terms gram and graphy are very interchangeable. So mammography, let's break it down. Mammography. So graphy is our X-ray, the O is a connecting vowel, and mam is breast. So it's an X-ray of the breast. So you can see how mammogram and mammography are very interchangeable. You can't have one without having the other. Common suffixes. Have a look at this slide and see if you can work out which suffix matches which meaning or definition. You don't have to do anything apart from think about it, for in a moment all will be revealed. So we're just going to give you a short time to think about it and see if in your head you've got it right. Okay, first one, ectomy. Removal of. Second one, otomy. Snip, snip, incision. Ostomy. Well, that S thinks staying open, an ostomy. Oscopy. Oh, having a look with a telescope. Oscopy, a scope. Visual examination. Plasty, surgical repair. I always think like a plaster. You fix it, don't you, with plaster? Surgical repair, plasty. And gram is our tracing or recording. And last but not least, graphy. X-ray, picture, recording. Let's look at some more common suffixes. Ac, an or al at the end of a word means relating to. So ovarian, let's break it down. Ovary, break, an, means relating to the ovaries. So for example, you could have ovarian cyst or ovarian cancer. Aemia is a blood condition. That means you've got something wrong with the blood. Our word example, hypoglycemia. Let's break this one down. Hypo, break, glyce, break, aemia. Aemia is our suffix, meaning blood condition. Glyce means sugar. And hypo is actually a prefix, meaning reduced or insufficient. So we can look at this word hypoglycemia and see that it actually means a blood condition of reduced sugar. Algia is pain. Common word, otalgia. Children in particular suffer with otalgia. Let's break it down. Ot, break, algia. Algia we know means pain. Ot is your ear, all my ears are ot. So otalgia is pain in the ear pain. Itis is inflammation. Spondylitis, let's break it down. Spondyle, break, itis. Reading it from the back end, inflammation of the vertebrae. Spondyle is vertebrae. Megaly means enlarged. Cardiomegaly, I like this word. Cardiomegaly, let's break it down. Cardi, break. O is our connecting vowel, another break, and megaly. So megaly is enlarged. You think mega is big, megaly is enlarged. So cardiomegaly would be an enlarged heart. Orage or oragia means bursting out. So if you have a hemorrhage, you are literally bursting out with blood. Heme means blood. So orage, bursting out, heme, blood. Bursting out with blood, a heavy bleed. Urea means discharge or flow. Well, earlier you had diarrhea. Let's have another example. Oturea. We can break this down. You may recognise ot. We had that earlier. Ot means ear. And urea is our suffix meaning discharge or flow. So we have a discharge from the ear. Pathy means disease. Spondylopathy, let's break it down. Spondyle, break. O is our connecting vowel. And pathy is our suffix meaning disease. So we have disease of the vertebrae. Osis and iasis means condition or disorder. So spondylosis, let's break it down. Spondyle, which we now know means vertebrae, and osis is our ending, meaning a condition or a disorder. So spondylosis would be a disorder of the vertebrae. Oma means tumour or a swelling. A tumour means a mass or a lump. The word tumour itself does not mean cancer, though we often relate it to that. So let's look at a word example. A hematoma. In this case, let's break it down. Oma is going to mean swelling, and hemat is blood. So actually what we have here, a hematoma, is a swelling containing blood. Well, here we have another suffixes in your head. So have a look at the column on the left-hand side and see if you can get them to match up with the ones on the right-hand side. And in a moment, I'll press my magic button and they'll all zoom into the correct place and you can see if you got them right. Okay, let's go. Orage, bursting out. Ak, al, or an at the end of the word means relating to. Algia, algia, pain, sounds sort of painful, algia. Emia is a blood condition. Aurea is discharge or flow. Plasty, surgical repair. Osis and iasis, condition or disorder. And last but not least, oma means tumour or swelling. And remember, a tumour means a mass or a lump. Common prefixes. Prefixes we find at the front of a word. So let's look at some of the common examples. Firstly, a or an at the front of a word means without or no, lack of. A word example, aphasia. Let's break this down. Well, a, break, phasia. Phasia is actually a suffix meaning speech. So aphasia would mean without speech, or more precisely, lack of speech. So if someone's had a stroke, they can't speak properly. Anti means against. So if a patient is taking an antihypertensive medicine, Let's break it down. Anti means against. Hypertensive is a term meaning high blood pressure. So an antihypertensive is against high blood pressure. Hence you have antihypertensive medicine to control blood pressure. Brady is slow. Bradycardic, let's break it down. Brady, break, card, break, ick. The ick means relating to. Card is the heart. And brady is slow. So if we read this from the back end, we have relating to the heart, slow. That sounds a bit odd. So we have to use a bit of common sense and say, is a slow heart or a slow heartbeat. Tachy means fast. So tachycardic, let's break it down. Tachy, break, card, break, ick. So again, taking it from the back end in this case doesn't really work. So we have to think tachy is fast, card relates to the heart, so it's a fast heart, fast heartbeat. Hyper means excess, too much, increased, any of those terms. So hypertension would mean increased tension. Hyper is excess or increased, and tension means tension, but hypertension actually relates to the pressure inside the blood vessels. So hypertension means high blood pressure. Next we have hypo, meaning reduced. It can also mean below. So hypotension would relate to low blood pressure, low tension. Dys means difficult or disordered. Our word example, dysphasia. We had phasia earlier, it means speaking. So let's break it down. Dys, break, phasia. So it would mean difficulty speaking. Again, associated with people who may have had a stroke, but many other reasons for dysphasia as well. En or endo means inside or in. Word example, endoscopy and also endocarditis. Let's look at endoscopy first of all. Endoscopy, well, end, break, oscopy. So oscopy, you may remember, is a visual examination with a lighted instrument. So this time, an endoscopy is a visual examination looking inside the body. An endoscopy commonly associates with the stomach. However, the endoscopy suite in a hospital will investigate either end. The other term, endocarditis, let's break that down. Well, end, break, O, card, itis. Itis, hopefully you remember, means inflammation of. Card is heart, O is our connecting vowel, and end means inside. So reading this from the back end, we have inflammation of the heart inside, or inflammation inside the heart. Peri means around. So let's have pericarditis. We can break this down. Peri, break, card, break, itis. We now know we have to use some common sense translating some of these sometimes. So let's have a look. Pericarditis therefore means inflammation, itis. Peri, around, card, the heart. Inflammation around the heart. Now that concludes our common prefixes and our common suffixes. So we have now completed module 1. Do go back and read through the suffixes and prefixes, because next it's quiz time. It's quiz time. This section will now finish, and if you look to the menu on your left, you will be given instructions as to what to do.